Two Canucks prospects were shockingly MIA from the Young Stars Classic roster, and we have the answers as to why. And Louie DeBrusk speaks out with high praise for his son Jake and his new home with Vancouver. We're going to be breaking down all of that in this episode of Canucks Digest, but first make sure to hit that subscribe button and click the bell icon so you don't miss any updates surrounding the Canucks as we head into the preseason. And with that, let's hop into the first topic of the day, which is two Canucks prospects MIA. Now, if you saw our last video where Mark covered the Young Stars Classic roster, fans were quick to notice that two names were very notably missing from the roster, that being of Cole McWard and Jet Wu. And in a quote that was from Ben Kuzma of the Province in an interview with GM Ryan Johnson of the Abbotsford Canucks, as well as the assistant GM of the Vancouver Canucks, he said that Cole McWard is dealing with a minor nagging injury and no reason to push him at the Young Stars tourney in Penticton. Jet Wu is also absent, but it's a promotion straight to main camp next week. So this is pretty cool where for one player and unfortunate for another, where Cole McWard, they don't want to rush him back from injury. We've seen this where Vancouver, evidently with Thatcher Demko, rushed him back from injury when he was not fully ready. And that led to the Demko dilemma that we're in right now heading into this season, where we have so much air of uncertainty as to when he'll be back. Maybe they want to avoid that with McWard going into this season with Abbotsford, especially when considering that he has played with Abbotsford before. When you look at his stats, he was with Abbotsford last season. He played 57 games with them. So it's not a matter of him having to fight for a roster spot or anything like that, to be frank, really. And he's played it with Vancouver as well. So he's not having to make a name for himself or having to push himself back from injury for just a tournament like this, when you can just wait till you have him for the AHL season and make him ready for if he has to be called up, if he gets that chance. Who knows with the Vancouver team? We see this roster is pretty much set in stone with Vancouver, where there's not a lot of room for these AHL guys to really jump into the main roster and be making a splash in the NHL like we did see in the past 2 years or so, where a lot of AHL guys were getting their chance in the NHL. But now Vancouver really has a very deep team, where we haven't seen a team where Vancouver has been this set in stone or this deep in a few years. So Vancouver is very poised for a very good deep playoff run, but it's going to entail a lot of these AHL guys not getting as much reps in the NHL as they were getting in seasons prior. And I think McWard is definitely due for that. He's one of these prospects who's not one of the biggest splashier prospects that we have. He has been pretty efficient in Abbotsford, especially when you look at it, where he had 4 goals, 13 assists, 17 points. So not the greatest. However, it was enough to get him noticed. And for a defenseman, it's not terrible. And that's not bad from the 23-year-old from Fenton, Missouri. So it is interesting to see where he isn't on that roster. But again, it's not wanting to rush him back from injury. We've seen where Vancouver has been struggling with this lately. So I definitely agree with the Canucks not wanting to rush him back, especially when his roster spot with Abbotsford is fairly secure and he is poised for a better season this season with Abbotsford, I think, as well. We've seen this Abbotsford and Vancouver system constantly make guys better and better over the course of seasons. We've rarely seen guys take a regressive step backwards in seasons, so I think McWard is definitely going to be in store for that, especially when you have a guy like Manny Malhotra at the helm. But the second guy that we're going to talk about in that statement too was also Jet Wu, where with Abbotsford, he has just gotten better and better every season. Like I just said, tends to happen within this Vancouver and Abbotsford system. And Jet Wu is no exception. He's getting the promotion up to the main camp, so no need to even worry about the Young Stars or the Abbotsford camp. Jet Wu is already going to be competing for vacant roster spots on the main Canucks team, if there is any available as far as injuries go or anything else, or just wanting to get guys rest and give him some reps in the NHL, because he hasn't gotten those reps yet. So you definitely want to get him out on NHL ice, especially when he spent 3 seasons in Abbotsford and he's continued to grow and grow and grow, especially when you look at his production as an assist guy and just physically as well. He's continuing to be better and get bulkier as well. So it's going to be interesting to see what Jet Wu does with this Abbotsford team, and especially when he makes his little appearances with Vancouver. I think we could see him in maybe as many as 10 games this upcoming season. But again, this Vancouver roster is already set in stone, so we're not going to be seeing a lot of guys make those jumps to the NHL and get those minimal reps in, where we're seeing a few guys get 10 games, 8 games, 5 games, 7 games. I don't think we're going to have too many guys that are poised for that amount of playing time in the NHL. But again, injuries could happen. This is the Vancouver Canucks. We tend to get hit with a lot of injuries. Knock on wood that doesn't happen, but here's the hoping that we have a very healthy season going forward. But that's going to take us into our second topic today, which is a father's praise. And we see here a quote from Louie DeBrusk, who is the Sportsnet anchor, and he did do an interview with the province talking about his son Jake and coming into the Canucks and heading into this season. You can pause if you want to take a look. But he goes on to say his play without the puck is what people are going to be most impressed about. The guy is a hound. He's not easy to play against. He tracks back, blocks shots, and can play the penalty kill and power play. The most important thing is the kid is a finisher. He can make plays. He's already talked about Pettersson and the few skates they've had, and then how when he's in position, he puts the puck right on his tape. Jake brings energy and a lot of speed. When he's buzzing, he'll take over a line. And then he went on to elaborate even further as far as Jake's excitement with Vancouver. He's super pumped. He's been on cloud nine all summer. He said it feels like he's going back to his first camp. You can lose a little bit of that with the same team. Now he's got to be on his toes. It's a great fit. And I couldn't agree more, especially when you look at his stats with Boston, where he was good in Boston. He was efficient, but he was a guy where maybe he wasn't being utilized to his full potential in Boston. He wasn't the top guy in Boston. He wasn't one of those top six forwards. Now he's coming to a team where he absolutely is, and he's on a line with Elias Pettersson, and hearing that excitement and that they're already developing that chemistry. This is exactly what Petey is going to be needing to just reignite himself again after a very lackluster ending of the year, on top of his pretty solid year for Petey. Yes, it was a bit of a step back considering the 100 points he had before that. But again, I think Petey is going to have a much better, more consistent line mate. He's not going to have Ilya Mikheyev just getting cardio out there. Jake DeBrusk is going to be a contributor. When you look at his stats, it just speaks for itself, especially looking at last year. 80 games, 19 goals, 21 assists for 40 points, 183 shots. But again, that was on a Boston team where he wasn't one of the top six guys. Now he's on that team where he is one of the top six guys. So we could see him I can absolutely predict that he is going to reach all-time point numbers with Vancouver, and as well as his plus minus. He's just going to reach career highs on every category, I think, with Vancouver heading into the season. When you pair it with him being in the top six, his excitement coming from his dad, the chemistry he's developing with these Vancouver players, I think he's going to be a phenomenal fit where we could see him make the jump up to 60, potentially maybe even 70 points. He's going to be probably a little bit behind Brock Boeser, and then you have those top three guys up there that are going to be up there with points with JT Miller, Quinn Hughes, and Elias Pettersson. Then you're going to have Brock Boeser, and then you're probably going to have Jake DeBrusk as your top five scorers. But that's what you want as Jake DeBrusk in your top six forwards. You want to have him in your top five scorers. And I think he's definitely going to be one of those scorers for us. I think it's going to be a great season. I think it's going to be a great fit for Jake DeBrusk in Vancouver. But let us know what you guys think down in the comments below. Would love to hear what you guys have to say. What are your projections for Jake DeBrusk heading into this season? Do you think he gets 40 points? Do you think he gets 50 points? Or do you think he reaches up to 60? Would love to hear what you guys have to say. But that's going to lead us into the third topic, which is everyone's favorite topic, and that's comment of the day. And we see here from Suzanne1784, no way do we let Garland go. And this is in reference to our last video where there was a rumor that the Canucks were going to be shopping Connor Garland or trading Connor Garland in order to get a goalie from Pittsburgh. These rumors seem to be very far-fetched. I don't know how they are going to be very validated. I don't know how Vancouver can just come to reason with getting rid of a guy like Connor Garland. We've said it time and time again how he's the Robin of this team. Dakota Joshua is the Batman. Those guys are a dynamic duo. You do not want to break those guys up because when those guys are on the ice, sometimes they're the best pairing in hockey. They would give Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl a run for their money on certain given days. But again, we would love to have Connor Garland just stay in Vancouver a lot longer. Maybe we give him a big extension after he just continues to play his heart out over the years. It's going to be great to see what they do going forward. But let us know what you guys think down below. But that's going to do it for this episode of Canucks Digest. I've been your host, Griffin. Take care.